Are you thinking that your junior year has been the hardest one so far? If you have, don't worry, you're not alone. So many juniors are coming into student services wondering and worrying about what are the graduation requirements compared to the college admissions requirements. I have no idea what my U Science results mean in terms of picking a career. Where do I even know where to start picking a career? How do I prepare for it in high school? Should I do work based learning? Should I look into the military? How am I going to pay for all this training? All of these questions are completely normal, but they can certainly make you feel a little stressed out. So today's activity is geared toward helping juniors stay on track, and we're going to answer a lot of your common questions so you can finish off the year feeling confident that you're walking into your senior year very well prepared. So let's just be real quick. Challenges of the junior year are a real thing. Your classes really are more demanding because a lot of you are stepping up in your rigor level. You're taking on foreign language, which is adding to like an academic schedule. You're completing some of your pathways, which means you're getting ready for some of your certification exams. It is definitely much more demanding. Not only that, but when you really think about it, you only have 3 semesters of high school left. And hopefully that didn't stress you out, but it does make you feel that graduation is becoming a little bit of a step closer. Demands on your time are really increasing. Many of you are already taking on a whole lot more responsibility with starting part time jobs. Maybe you're already in work based learning. Maybe you're doing some extra things around the house to help out with your family. Possibly you're taking on leadership positions with clubs and activities. So it does create a little bit more stress. It can definitely create confusion about what to do and when to do it and how do I get it done. So, one of the common things I see with juniors and can really make your train roll off the tracks really quick is procrastination. So, procrastination can kind of be a result of a lot of things, but let's just start with it making a student feel very overwhelmed. And a lot of that is when you have so much to do, you really don't know where to get started. There's so much information out there, you don't really know how to process it to just start with step one. For some students, it's not knowing how to get started on a goal. You really want to do well with something, but you just need a little help and support getting started. A lot of students procrastinate or delay making decisions because they're afraid of making the wrong decision. And that's pretty normal. I think adults face that a lot too. But sometimes from the outside looking in, if you're a student that tends to procrastinate or wait to get things done to the last minute, it can almost look like you're inattentive or not paying attention. Sometimes you might hear the word lazy thrown around a little bit, but reality is that's not the case. But sometimes procrastinators also can't remember to get their work done, but they also hyper focus on things that adults seem as not important, like spending way too much time gaming or on social media. For a student, it can actually feel like being irritable all the time or exhausted and sleepy. And it may cause you to act like avoiding teachers, especially when you know you have work due to them, or maybe not coming to class, not turning in assignments, not making up missed work. So, all of those descriptors can really be a result of procrastination, which is simply the act of not doing the things we need to do in a timely manner, waiting to the last minute, and then causing us a whole lot of stress in the process. So, one of the things that can alleviate the stress is to really get a good working knowledge on refreshing yourself on what the graduation requirements are for the rest of your junior year into your senior year. So, looking at this chart, you'll see in ninth grade going across in that green color. Everybody took a ninth grade ELA. Everybody took a math and a science and some sort of social studies, American government. And then for most students, that was the year that you took your health or PE, or you started your junior A, sorry, ROTC classes, because you have to take 3 ROTC classes in order to substitute for the state mandated health and personal fitness requirement. And then moving into 10th grade in that shade of blue, again, we took a math, a science, a social studies, and an ELA. And now we're sitting here in your junior year. All of you will be taking an ELA. For some of you, that might look like an honors, or some of you might even be taking the most rigorous selection, which would be the AP Lang, which is a new class that we have this year. In math, most juniors are taking advanced algebra. Some of you might have taken advanced algebra if you doubled up a math in either your ninth or 10th grade, and so you might be moving into pre-calculus as well. So for science, most students are taking physics or something similar to that. If you took physical science in your 8th grade year, then it's not necessary that you take physics, but it will definitely help you in college for sure. All of our juniors are taking our US history. And then you're noticing that's only 4 classes, and you have 8 classes in your schedule. So that's obviously leaving lots of room for elective choices. And so looking ahead into that white band of your 12th grade year is giving you your options on what you can do to get your ELA 12th in. And then your math, you've got lots of decisions for your fourth math. Let's go back real quick to ELA 12. I wanted to mention something. If you are taking the AP Lang as a junior, then most likely you're probably going to take AP Lit your senior year. However, some students are taking American Lit and AP Lang their junior year. And if you're doing that, that AP Lang can actually count as your fourth ELA as well. If you're going to do that, though, I definitely recommend that you work with your school counselor for advisement, because some of those class choices are really going to depend on the college that you want to apply to. Let's go back to math real quick. So, as a junior, again, you're probably going to take your advanced algebra, and that's the great class to make sure that you're taking and finishing up before you take the SAT or ACT, if at all possible. A bulk of the math on both of those tests are coming from that content area. But as you move into your senior year, depending again on what your plans are after graduation, that might look like advanced math decision making. That's going to be very helpful if you're going into the military or starting out at a technical college. But more than likely, if you're going to a traditional college or a 4-year university to start with, you're going to really want to make sure that pre-calculus is on the table. And depending on how competitive the college is, you might be taking pre-calculus as a junior because you want to make room for that AP calculus or statistics for your senior math. If you look over into that science section, holy cow, you've got tons of choices for your fourth science. And again, some of the students are taking 4, 5, and even 6 sciences in their schedule. A lot of that has to do with the college major that they're going to choose, or the college that they want to get into, or maybe it's just an interest level for them. And that's perfectly fine. But again, for basic graduation requirements that meet the standard for the state of Georgia and as well as the Jefferson local system, we do have to have a minimum of 4. Moving over into social studies, the common one for your senior year is going to be econ. And then you have all kinds of social science electives, which count as academic electives that you could take. And you'll notice over there in that elective, they're kind of like pushing a little bit of that world language. Now, those are not required for high school graduation. That's why they are in the academic elective column. So let's talk real quick about looking at the difference between Georgia graduation requirements and the college admission requirements. So on the left-hand side of the screen, you have Jefferson High School, and it shows that you pretty much need 4 credits in each core content area. And I know that you probably already know this stuff. It's just a quick review. With health and personal fitness, again, you need 1 credit in that, or you need 3 credits of ROTC in order to substitute for that health and personal fitness credit. The CTAE, which is your career technical agriculture or education, and world language and fine arts. This is a little confusing for students. So how it reads in the state guidelines is you can have 1 class of CTAE, 1 class of world language, and 1 class of fine arts, and that meets that criteria. Or you can complete a pathway and do all 3 CTAE classes, and that will meet that requirement. You can take 2 years of world language and 1 fine art class, and that will also satisfy it. So basically, what your school counselors do is make sure that all of these requirements are kind of built into your schedule. So we don't really need or require you to think too hard about this, because your school counselors are kind of making sure that that's already into your schedule. But I just want to make sure that you're really aware of that. And so electives, you don't need 28 electives. We need 28 credits to graduate, but you're going to fill in the rest of those credits with the electives. So let's move over to the University System of Georgia. If you want to go to college and be college admissible, and this is to your 4-year colleges and universities, technical colleges have a little bit of a different admission standard, but you're going to need 4 ELAs, 4 maths. And if we look at the math, they're going to want you to have had Algebra 1, Geometry, or Algebra 2. In some cases, some school systems have Coordinate Algebra and Advanced Algebra, which Jefferson has. And then a fourth unit of Advanced Math or the equivalent of an Advanced Math. Science, college is going to want you to have biology, physical science, or physics, chemistry, and you can also take an earth systems class. We don't offer that at Jefferson, but you could do that through dual enrollment, possibly through an online lab class if that's available. We do offer the environmental science and an additional fourth approved science unit. In social studies, they require a minimum of three credits. One has to be in U.S. studies and one in world studies. But you'll notice that the Georgia graduation requires us to have econ as well as that. So foreign language is the big question that I get all the time. It is not required for you to have 2 years of consecutive foreign language to graduate from high school. It is required for you to be admissible to a 4-year college or university. Again, if you plan on starting out at a technical college, it's not necessary for you to be admitted into a technical college right out of high school and not have your 2-year foreign language requirement. If you plan to transfer to a 4-year university after your technical time is over, then you will have to have it done. So it's just easier to kind of get that done in high school. So, to complete a world language pathway, you need 3 years of consecutive foreign language. But again, in colleges, your competitive colleges love for you to have 3 years, but 2 years are required. But you can also take 2 years of sign language. This class is sometimes hard to get because we have to do it through either Georgia Virtual School or maybe through a dual enrollment process. And they're kind of hard to find and they fill up pretty quick. But we're going to jump on that 2 computer science classes because a couple of years ago, the state of Georgia recognized that computer coding is another world language. And so I'm going to show you in a quick second the options that you have. So if you don't want to do a traditional language such as Spanish, French, German, you can opt to do a computer science class course sequence to satisfy that. But we want to check with our college to make sure what their admission standards are going to be. And then you have to meet the regular high school graduation requirements as well. So I'm really excited about computer science language options because as we're moving into this future, anyone that has computer coding and computer language behind their belt, you are going to be so far advanced in any career that you decide to jump into. So, this is a list of computer classes that we do offer here at Jefferson. So, if you take any 2 of those classes, that will satisfy your world language. Foreign language requirement for college admissions. And you'll notice we also have 2 AP classes that are in this mix. So if you're looking for that rigor, amazing. So let's look at pathway completion. So these are pathways that you can complete in either world languages, fine arts, and this chart here kind of focuses on the career technical ag education. So completing the pathway, if you can remember since 8th grade, if you take 3 classes in a sequence, in a cluster, then that can lead to a credential. Sometimes it can lead to taking a state certification test that can give you an industry credential, making you workforce ready, which can sometimes pay quite a great salary for someone coming right out of high school. So, pathway completers, it assists in work based learning acceptance. So, work based learning is becoming so competitive and so popular because of the amazing concrete experience it gives you with in depth career awareness. And so, if students that have completed 3 classes within their pathway are going to be more competitive and most likely get a spot in that work based learning program over someone that's maybe only taken one and isn't really sure, what they want to explore with that career. So there's a new program out where if you complete certain pathways in high school, then technical colleges will actually give you technical college credit if you choose to go to technical college for an associate degree or to pursue certification or diplomas at that technical college level. So we'll talk more about that later as that rolls out. We mentioned the industry credentials that you can earn in high school, But the best thing about it is it gives you insight and preparation for careers if you're unsure about what you want to focus on after high school graduation. This chart on the right shows you the 9 career clusters, or sometimes we call them schools of excellence in the Jefferson High School system. So there are 9 areas, and then it will tell you in this chart the pathways, or the quote, the majors, if you were going to use that pathway in a college setting, that you can earn under each cluster. And the CTSO is the Career Technical Student Organization, which are state and national competitive organizations that you can join as a club at Jefferson, that gives you some leadership building experience and gives you a much more in-depth awareness of that career that you're looking at in high school as well. So this is a little blurry, but I have included this as a nice clean sheet as a separate attachment in your Google Class Drive. But this is a list of all of the 25 pathways that are offered within those 9 clusters or schools of excellence. And we're really excited that we have 2 additional ones, which is the graphic design this year and the manufacturing or mechatronics. So there are lots of things for you to explore with all those additional electives that you have built into your schedule. If you haven't even started a pathway, you can still start one and have plenty of time with the next 3 semesters that you have left to complete a pathway before you graduate. So let's look at high school planning with your post-grad goals in mind. On the left-hand side, intentional high school planning is something that you and your family and your school counselor can do. We want to focus on making sure that your GPA is on point, especially if you're looking at your maintaining your HOPE eligibility. That will help pay for tuition at technical and traditional colleges. But we also want you to make sure that you're placed in a level of classes that's going to challenge your interest and your ability level. Sometimes we call that rigor. It's a little different than the rigor we talk about with the HOPE GPA. But we also want you to have really good social experiences and leadership development. And I mentioned those CTSOs, that's exactly where you can find that, but also within your fine arts department and some of your other leadership organizations. And you'll definitely get both of those experiences through work-based learning. So, looking on the right hand side of this chart, when you're looking at career selection and talking about, well, what kind of training am I going to need to hit those career selection goals? First of all, we got to start focusing on narrowing down the areas of your strengths and your interests so we know how to do some deep dives with the careers. You can start this with U Science, and actually on Thursday, you're going to be doing just that with a U Science activity through your Pride class. We want you to look at it being exposed to industries and to college campuses so you can kind of get a feel if that's a good fit for you. And we also want you to be developing qualifications if you're wanting to go into the workforce right after high school, that you're being placed into jobs that are well paying, because we all know that if you're going into a job that pays the minimum wage or a little above it, that's going to put you in or keep you into a poverty level. So I have included a sheet called the planning guide for the class of 2025 as a separate attachment in your drive. And this is just the basic components of what you can be doing each quarter of your junior year. So I know that we're already in October, November, and December. So let's kind of take a look real quick. So tomorrow is the last day for exploring dual enrollment options just for spring. But in the springtime, around March, we're going to open it up again for summer and your fall semester of your senior year. So if you still want some information about that, be working with your school counselor to see what's a good fit for you. Again, continue to protect your GPA and HOPE eligibility, because even right now, if you don't think you're going to go to college, you never know. That HOPE eligibility is good for 7 years after you graduate high school. So you can go off and do lots of experiences and things through the military or workforce, and then still decide to go back to college in Georgia. And if you're eligible, that scholarship will be waiting for you. So protect that at all costs. We talked about doing some extracurriculars to develop leadership. We have these college presentations where colleges come in all the time, and we don't have a really good response to that. And I'm kind of confused, because that's going to give you a great idea of what the admission standards are, programs and career ideas. So anytime you see that, I would encourage you to sign up and attend. Even if you don't know what the college is, that's the way you learn. We are going to be taking some deep dives into U-Science results to look and see if your spring schedule is going to need any adjustments. Because if you're deciding, hey, I think I want to finish this pathway or I want to try this class, this is the time to do it. We talked about working on your leadership development. Apply for special programs. We have all kinds of opportunities, such as the Governor's Advisory Council or being a part of a workforce industry partnership. Junior Leadership Jackson, which is something you could do your senior year. We're always pushing out these activities that you have to apply or interview for, and we don't always have a huge response to that. Now, the students that do apply are really high quality, but I think some students think, well, that's not for me. I'm not like some of these high achieving students. Sometimes you are the perfect student that we want to include in this group. So don't sell yourself short. Make sure you're jumping at those opportunities. And we're going to spend a lot of time researching workforce industry information. So tomorrow, we're going to take another look at testing. So this up here at the January through the March, there's a lot of focus on this side about ACT, SAT, and ASVAB. So I'm going to save a little bit of that conversation for tomorrow. And we'll talk a little bit about the Common App. And then later on, we're going to talk a little bit more about what to do in the last couple of months of your junior year. But go ahead and give this a read, because the activity that I'm going to ask you to do at the end of this PowerPoint is around this sheet. So kind of get familiar with that if you would. So this last form is just some resources. I've got a couple of links that I'll send to you in a separate PowerPoint so you can access this link. But there are articles on what procrastination is, especially during your junior year, and how you can address it after you've recognized it. And then ways to manage high school stress. Everybody tells you, oh, you got stressed, but they don't really do a good idea of telling you how to manage it. I've also included a link here if you're interested in what other options you have for that fourth science during your senior year. You can check that out. And this right here is the Google form that I want you to do for the activity summary, but I've also included that in a separate link in your Google Drive as well. So I know I've given you a lot of information, but I just want to review some things that you need to be focused on this year to make sure that your stress is a little bit reduced, because the biggest stress monster of your junior year is not having a plan and not working your plan. So that's the easiest thing that myself and counselors in your support system and student services can help you with. Thanks, and you guys have a great day.